33 years ago, Martin Eubanks graduated from the University of Georgia, crossed the state line to South Carolina, went to work for the Department of Agriculture. 3 decades later, he's stepping down as assistant commissioner. We sat down with Martin recently to reflect on what he's seen in his time in office. The view from your seat had to be pretty spectacular at what you've seen come about in the last 3 decades.
You know, when I started in agriculture, farmers were farmers. They could farm. Yes, they make decisions on what to plant, what to spray, so forth. So, well, now, you know, they got to be labor specialists. They got to be scientists. You know, there's so much broader information. You know, they got to be food safety specialists. And nobody just farms anymore. That's not even in the equation. You have to be all of those things. And I think the general public needs to see that. Farming has changed. Farmers have changed. They've always, you know, they're the first environmentalists we hear people say, and I agree with that. You know, they grow crops, they live on their farms, they eat what they grow, they feed that to their families, and they're not going to feed something to their family that would put that family at risk.
So I think one of the things that we've seen too is the evolution of something that was not even discussed, probably because we did not have the technology to make it part of the conversation, is food safety.
Food safety discussion has become very real over the years. You look back 30 years ago, we didn't think in food safety to the terms we think of it now. The way we measured chemicals, residues, things of that nature, you could only take it so far. Now you know there's such tight tolerances that weren't available then. It's changed the way farmers have to deal with food safety, particularly in fresh market crops, to ensure an abundant and safe food supply for the consumer. They want trust. You know, that is developed into industries, as you know, third-party certification, things of that nature. Changing again with the Food Safety Modernization Act, all of that geared to protect people, protect our citizens, as well it should be. It's become embraced and people understand the whys. And the last thing anybody wants to do is see somebody get sick.
Are we doing enough to ensure that another generation of farmers comes along?
I actually think that's improved over the last several years particularly. There was a period in there where it was hard to get students to the ag schools. That trend seems to be changing. Classrooms are getting full. This new generation wants to be a part of agriculture. Do I think the outlook for agriculture is bright? People would probably disagree with me right now with commodity prices where they are, the difficulties that farmers are facing. But the one thing people have to do is eat. So there will always be that need. You know, the bottom line is that we have to understand that farmers can't live on prices in 2018 that they were getting in 2000 or 1980 even in some instances. And that's what we see. You know, efficiency, yields, all of those things, you know, have to happen. But you know, price has to keep up in there somewhere to keep a profit on the farm for that farmer to survive. Not going to leave the industry, not going to be far away. You know, agriculture is like a lot of things. Once it gets in your blood, and produce in particular, once that gets in your blood, you can't stay away from it. But I know I want to stay involved. It's been far too good to me, far too good to my family. And I just love watching people be successful. That's been, I think, the biggest joy in my job is working with farmers who are the salt of the earth as far as I'm concerned, and seeing them be successful.
So after 33 years and a lot of changes, South Carolina agriculture is saying goodbye to Martin Eubanks. They did so in a special tribute video that you can see on our website at southeastproduceweekly.com. In Columbia, South Carolina, I'm Chip Carter from southeastproduceweekly.com, reporting for RFD-TV.